Hey, what's going on, Headliner Nation, and any new viewers tuning into this episode of the Fantasy Headliners? Thanks so much. We're breaking down the Odell Beckham Jr. trade. That's right, breaking news that Odell Beckham Jr. is out of New York, headed to Cleveland, and Cleveland, who was once thought of as one of the most miserable teams, one of the most miserable franchises in any pro sport, now becomes one of the most exciting franchises in any pro sport. And honestly, from getting really close to a wild card this season and just the energy in that city for that Browns team, you have to imagine that this is a playoff team next year with aspirations that are even higher than that. So the Cleveland Browns, let's break this trade down really quick. The Browns are going to get Odell Beckham Jr. In return, the Giants are going to get the first round pick this year for the Browns, which is 17th overall, a 2019 third round pick as well, and safety Jabril Peppers. Real quick note on Peppers, he wasn't great in his rookie season, was much improved last year though, so he'll fill in for that Landon Collins role of what he did for that team. Won't be Landon Collins, but he'll fill in for that with him departing and leaving that spot vacant. So what does this mean for both teams from a fantasy football perspective? So let's talk about it. Odell Beckham Jr., already a lock and loaded wide receiver one. He is, he always has been, he always will be. But now, honestly, Odell Beckham Jr. in 2019 is my overall wide receiver one. I'm going to go with him at one overall. This is just a match made in heaven. This is a great dynamic young offense. This is going to be a team that OBJ is going to have a lot of fun on. I don't think you're going to see nearly the same frustrations and things that you saw in New York. As long as he stays healthy and he's on that football field, he's going to be the best receiver in football this year. And that's going to be my take on Odell Beckham Jr. Baker Mayfield, he could be a top 5 quarterback at this point. You've already probably listened to Jake's videos. He's talked about Baker Mayfield a little bit. He already thought he was a quarterback 5. I'm going to put him up there as well. I had him just outside of that. I had him in that about 7 to 8 range, I believe is where he was, but now I'm going to put him within that top 5. He definitely has all the tools to succeed. He had an amazing rookie season. He's only going to get better as a sophomore, and he has all of the weapons around him to be great now. So fantasy football wise, he is a top quarterback. And honestly, if you wanted in dynasty leagues, if you wanted to argue with him as the QB2 behind Patrick Mahomes at this point, I'm not going to argue with you because he could be and possibly will be. We'll see his ADP skyrocket. From the Giants, real quick, just to jump over to them, Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram, I'll give them a slight bump, but not a whole lot. When you lose a player like Odell Beckham Jr., you just can't replace him. You can't replace what he does on the football field, whether he's touching the ball or not touching the ball. I don't love this move for the Giants at all. They get an okay package in return, but again, it's not a package that can replace Odell Beckham Jr., one of the best receivers in all of football. So, from a fantasy football's perspective, I don't love them. They're still hitched to Eli Manning. I don't expect Eli Manning to be anything special this year. I probably got him as a fringe quarterback 2, quarterback 3. Right down there at the very bottom is where I will end up putting him. I will continue to buy Saquon Barkley, though, because even with injuries and things last year, Saquon Barkley was still performing at a very high level. I will probably bump him down a little bit. I think I had him at running back 3. I might push him back just a tad. I'm going to wait and dive into that part a little bit more later on. Ezekiel Elliott was already my running back 1, whether it be dynasty, whether it be redraft, didn't matter. He was my running back 1. He will continue to be my running back 1, but I will end up bumping Barkley back just a tad. So we'll see how far back he ends up going, but he'll still be a very good player. But he's the only person from New York that I'm buying. I'm not going near I'm not going near anybody in New York other than Saquon Barkley. So just plan on fading all of them. Evan Ingram, I will say he's still a tight end 1. But I'm going to put him more maybe in that 6 to 8 range than I would have previously put him. Again, yeah, you could say there's targets and opportunities opening up with Odell Beckham Jr. gone, but unfortunately he just does so much on the football field to take away from others and to open up spaces and other things that I don't love this for the other players there, even with maybe some increased volume. Back to the Browns for a minute. So Odell Beckham Jr., my wide receiver 1. Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback for me. Jarvis Landry, he's a solid wide receiver 2 for me in PPR leagues. I'm definitely going to put him as a wide receiver 2 at this point, especially in PPR leagues. Antonio Callaway, I could still see a situation where you put Callaway on the outside with Odell Beckham Jr. on the other side. Jarvis Landry goes into the slot. Antonio Callaway is going to be a boom or bust player. He's not going to be anybody that's going to be week-to-week relevant, or you can lean on him week-to-week, but he's definitely a guy in maybe some good situations, some right situations, could have a few big plays. I don't think this really hurts him that much because Odell Beckham Jr., I think, makes this team better. I don't think he necessarily takes away from anybody. I think he makes more opportunities for everybody else because people are going to pay attention to him. So I like this Cleveland Browns offense. David Njoku, if there was one guy I needed to bump down a little bit, it would be him. I really liked him heading into this season, but I do think that he is going to be towards the bottom of the totem pole in terms of targets. We'll see what they do with Duke Johnson and even Nick Chubb. We'll see where they land in terms of targets, but it definitely is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. and then Jarvis Landry. Touchdown, red zone targets for Njoku will be key to his value this season. Nick Chubb, thinking about him, he's still a running back one for me. I will have him probably still in that 7 to 10 range where I had him previously. I will still put him there because if this offense is dynamic as it possibly can be, and if the defense is still as good as it was towards the end of last season and even better, they could run the score up on a lot of teams, giving Nick Chubb more than enough opportunities to run the ball and be fantasy relevant. So many great things happening there in Cleveland. Just a quick breakdown. We're going to get into this more. Don't worry. After the draft is done, we're going to start breaking these teams down. Be on the lookout for our draft kit this year. We're going to have team-by-team breakdowns. Lots of great things in that. That's when we're really going to start diving into these teams player by player, perspective by perspective. Right now, we're just getting some quick reaction type stuff out there to let you know what we think of this trade. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks.